Okay, so you found this wild YouTube video,
Hmm? Wild is putting it mildly.
and it's like psychic battles, demons, humans of light. I mean, where do you even start with this stuff?
Yeah, the title alone, 309, SS Lucille ATC, Batalla en el Espacio, fin de quien ordena la invasión al planeta de Cineberla, is a mouthful.
Seriously, a mouthful. You sent this transcript to us from this channel, William Criado, and it sounds like this woman's experience in the video.
Uh-huh.
A lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack, yeah.
But it is interesting, though, how even with the fantastical elements, it kind of touches on this, like, basic human struggle.
Yeah.
Good versus evil, you know, light versus darkness. We see this everywhere.
Everywhere. In every culture.
Throughout history. I mean, this is a story that's been told and retold. But this time it's happening on this, like, cosmic scale.
Oh, totally. And you mentioned it actually reminded you of some of the artwork that you've seen depicting spiritual warfare.
Exactly.
Which is kind of what made you want to send it to us.
Yeah, for sure. So let's jump into this. In the video, this woman, she talks about how she's, like, instantly thrust onto this cosmic battlefield.
Right, and it's vivid. Like, she doesn't spare any details.
Oh, no, it's intense.
It's intense. You have these grotesque winged demons, like straight out of a nightmare, and they're clashing with these radiant beings of light.
It's, like, biblical almost.
Right.
But she describes them as human-like, but just radiating this intense energy, this pure energy.
Yeah, and the imagery itself is just, it's captivating.
It is.
And I think it speaks to this, again, these archetypes of good versus evil. It's something that we as humans have been grappling with for centuries.
But it's interesting, though, how it's happening in space, right? She calls Earth a hologram.
A hologram, yeah.
Which is kind of chilling when you think about it.
It is a little bit unnerving, right?
Like, what does that mean for us if our reality is limited in that way?
Right. What does that even mean? And that's a question that a lot of different people have explored. You know, the idea of limited perception, philosophers talk about it. There's this concept in spirituality, even cognitive science. People have explored this idea that maybe we're only seeing a fraction of what's really out there.
So it's like we're trapped, in a way.
Yeah, in a sense.
And if we are, who are these beings that are, like, holding us back? Because she goes on to describe this whole hierarchy, and it starts with these, you know, the typical demons.
The demons, right.
And, okay, we kind of expect that. But then it gets weirder. Then there's these powerful reptilian beings, and then at the top, it's this mysterious triangulation of leaders. Like, they're controlling everything.
Yeah, it's like this cosmic game of chess. And we're not even the players. We're like the pawn.
We're the pawns, yeah.
And when you really think about it, this whole idea of these powerful, unseen forces kind of controlling our lives, I mean, is it really that far-fetched?
That's true.
Because we see it in systems of power every day. You look at governments, you look at corporations, you look at social structures. People often feel like they have very little control over the bigger picture.
That's very true. And it's especially unnerving when she brings up this detail about these beings messing with human DNA.
Oh, absolutely. It adds a whole other layer to it. Like, what is it about humanity? What is it about our potential that these beings are so invested in controlling? Is it fear? Or is there something more at play here?
So we've got these beings, they're messing with our DNA, calling the shots in this cosmic chess game. But you mentioned something about this triangulation, you know, this trio at the top. What's the deal with them?
Yeah, so the transcript gets a little fuzzy there, but it seems like they're not just like more powerful. They're different somehow.
Different how?
Well, she mentions that they have like both reptilian and dragon genetics.
Okay, hold on. From a purely scientific standpoint, that's kind of out there.
Oh, totally, totally. But symbolically, though, those images are loaded.
That's true.
Like reptilians, they often represent those primal instincts, you know, cold, calculating, that part of our brain that's all about survival.
And dragons.
Right.
I mean, depending on what culture you look at, dragons can be these destructive forces of nature, or they can be wise, almost godlike beings.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
I mean, that's a million-dollar question, isn't it? Are they forces of chaos? Or do they represent something else, like some ancient wisdom or some kind of order that we just don't understand yet?
Right.
The video doesn't really give us a clear answer, but it definitely makes you think about, you know, how power can show up. And it's not always how we expect. It can be for good or for bad, or maybe both.
And the timeline of all of this just blows my mind. She talks about like 5 different human races and this war that's been going on for ages. And then she drops this phrase, fifth race, or almost like it's nothing. What does that even mean? Like, how far back does all of this go?
I know, right? The sense of time in this video is immense. It's like she's giving these glimpses of a timeline that we can't even comprehend. And that fifth race Aurelia thing, It's cryptic, like it's a clue to something bigger. It makes you wonder, if this is the fifth Oreo, what happened in the first four?
What you just said makes me wonder, what if this isn't meant to be taken literally? Like, it's easy to get caught up in the details, the different races, the battles, all of it. But maybe the message here is something much bigger.
You're right. It's not really about this specific war in some distant galaxy. It's more about this, universal idea of conflict. This idea that throughout history, across different times, maybe even dimensions, there are always going to be these forces that want to control things, limit us, keep humanity from reaching its full potential.
And that even in those really dark moments, there's always that spark of resistance, that drive to break free, to be more than we are. And that brings us to the turning point in the video. Things are looking pretty grim, and then suddenly it shifts. Her guide tells her to start picturing these humans fighting back. Their inner light is pushing back against the darkness.
It's powerful imagery. It's not about, physical strength or anything like that. It's about something deeper, tapping into this well of inner power, this thing that can't be touched by outside forces.
What, like inner strength?
Yeah.
Like willpower?
Exactly. She describes it as this wave of light, and it just dissolves the barriers holding them captive. The chains just break. It's really something.
So we're talking about liberation, but it's not just a physical thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's like breaking free from whatever's holding us back internally. Those self-imposed limitations that keep us from being who we're meant to be.
Precisely. It's about reclaiming our inner strength, that power within each of us that can't be taken away. And you see this theme over and over again throughout history, in mythology, everywhere. The idea that real power doesn't come from weapons or technology or any of that. It comes from something deeper, something inside of us.
That makes me think about what you were saying earlier about us being pawns in this cosmic chess game. What if true liberation isn't about battling some external enemy? What if it's about realizing we have a choice, that we can make our own moves, create real change?
Now you're getting it. The real battle isn't out there in some far-off galaxy. It's right here, within us. We have to confront those limiting beliefs, the fear, the insecurities, the stuff that keeps us small, the stuff that keeps us from reaching our full potential.
Wow. We went from interdimensional warfare to, the battle for the soul of humanity. This is heavy stuff.
It is heavy, but it's also incredibly hopeful. Because if we're the ones holding ourselves back, then we're the ones with the power to break free.
So it's about changing our perspective, like seeing the hologram for what it is.
It's a construct, and we can see through it, we can dismantle it, and rebuild something better.
Okay, but before we go full-on Matrix here, you had something in your notes about how this video ends. We've been talking about her journey so far, but it doesn't exactly have a clean ending, does it?
Not at all. It's actually really abrupt. 1 minute, she's describing this incredible victory, this feeling of being cleansed, this overwhelming sense of peace.
And then, boom, out of nowhere, she's speaking in tongues.
Yeah, glossolalia, the whole thing.
And then the video just ends. That's it. It's over. What do you even do with an ending like that?
It leaves you with this, unsettled feeling.
Yeah.
Like you've seen something really powerful, maybe even life-changing, but you're not sure what it all means.
You walk away with more questions than answers.
Exactly. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it's not supposed to be this neat and tidy package. Maybe it's about sitting with the mystery of it all, grappling with the unknown.
It's a lot to process, for sure. But even if we don't take the whole psychic battle thing literally, there's some interesting stuff here. What if this hologram Earth idea, what if it's more than just a sci-fi thing?
Right.
What if there really are these forces at work in our lives shaping things, but we're just totally oblivious?
I mean, that's the question that sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
Are we just sleepwalking through life?
Yeah.
Totally blind to what's really real? And if we are, what does that mean for us? For the choices we make, the things we believe, for who we think we are?
It's kind of terrifying when you really think about it, but also kind of exciting in a weird way.
How so?
Well, because if we are capable of more than we realize, if something's holding us back, imagine what we could achieve if we could just break free.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that this battle, this fight for a better life, it's not just about overcoming obstacles out there in the world. It's about facing those internal barriers, the stuff that keeps us from stepping into our full potential.
So what do we do? Should we all become monks or something? Try to tap into other dimensions?
I'm not sure interdimensional warfare is for everyone.
Good point.
But I think it's important to be curious, to question what we think we know about the world.
Yeah.
about ourselves. Because the truth is, we're all on this journey of discovery, and sometimes the strangest paths lead to the most amazing discoveries.
Well said, well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. Maybe the hologram is less about some literal construct and more about perception. How we see things. What about you listening? What did you think? What really stood out to you in all of this? And what unseen forces, good or bad, do you think might be shaping your reality?
And maybe even more importantly, what can you do, starting today, to break free from those limitations? What can you do to create a life that's more in line with who you truly are?
Ooh, chills. Okay, that's a powerful thought to end on. So until next time, keep exploring those weird corners of the internet, and please keep sending them our way. You never know what we'll find.